Welcome to the first session of Singular Foods times God for You, a platform dedicated to advancing food as medicine by bringing together science, innovation, and holistic health. Throughout this series, we will explore topics that are directly and indirectly connected to this space, and we will host key players shaping the food as medicine ecosystem. The goal is to create awareness at a systemic level, connecting science, innovation, and ideas in order to bring the functionality of food to scale. Today's guest is Soledad, co-founder of Future Biome. We will touch on biotech as a powerful pathway for food as medicine, but also the challenges faced by early-stage startups. Soledad, welcome to our first session. Before jumping into the conversation, could you tell us a bit more about your background?
Yes, well, thank you so much, Valeria. I'm very happy and excited to be here. I love what you're doing with God for You and Singular Foods. It was amazing to learn your activities in the space and your purpose, your mission. Well, I'm Soledad Gurovic. I'm a pharmacist. Have a PhD in chemistry. I'm the founder of Future Biome. About me, I've been most of my life in the academy, doing research, exploring what has nature to offer for healing people, for making us healthier. And it was some years ago. I just started a project with cancer patients. The purpose, the objective was to bring what we exploring in the lab with mushrooms, and just trying to know what was there to help people with cancer. And I was really involved with the cancer patients. So that was my first experience in clinical research, and I was fascinated. It was a kind of, yes, translational science where you bring what you're doing in the lab to the people, directly to the people. But I was talking with them, helping, leading, but also helping nutritionists and food chemists with the project. And it was fascinating, and I realized I really wanted to do something touchable, some solution for that people, for those suffering. And at that moment, as a scientist in doing research in public institutes, I was just writing papers and publishing knowledge, and just waiting someone else uses that knowledge to build solutions. And I realized I want to be there. I want to be building that solution for today's problems. So that's basically my background, and I've been in Future Biome from the beginning. We are 3 years of entrepreneurship, and well, that's also part of the new chapter in my life.
That's amazing, Soledad. Could you actually share more about what you're doing in Future Biome and what is the mission of your startup?
Well, what we do is we create novel ingredients made by mushrooms by precision fermentation. Um, and the mission of Future Biome is help people have healthier dietary habits, help the food industry make processed food healthier. When I was a scientist, I realized there were a lot of treasures in nature, uh, but the problem was that they were not available. We needed to scale that the production of that natural products to make it available for a global population. And I've been working with different types of biological systems, with bacteria, with yeast, with mushrooms, and with plants. I started my PhD was about plants. So when I got all that information, what I really understood was that mushrooms have a real potential for health, and they were also a scalable system. With biotechnology, you can scale, of course, yeast and bacteria. But if I had to choose one of those, I choose mushrooms. What they can create is unique. Not other systems can do that, and the impact for life is amazing. I'm talking about mainly medicinal mushrooms.
Of
Um,
course.
that was the basics before thinking about a startup. And then when we designed, when I sat down and said, well, okay, I have to create a business from science, then I realized I start looking of well the business model and that type of things for helping companies, helping people. Where could we be better and perform better? And what's the need? What's the need in what is the solution, or what's the problem, the real problem? Because you have one idea of the problem you can solve with your technology, but you have to validate that. And we validated with food. The problem was in the food system. We needed to make, we need to make food healthier. So that's why we started with food ingredients, thinking this
Okay.
food ingredients.
So you're a pharmacist by training, and based on what you're telling me, I think we have two essential topics that we have been discussing in earlier conversations between you and myself. And we were talking about microbiome and biotech to scale food as medicine. From a pharmacologist and founder perspective, why does the food industry need to pay a closer attention to microbiome innovation?
Well, when we started exploring food, talking with food companies, um, what they really needed, the food industry. This is what I see when I explore the market, but also what people in the food industry says. They need to make food healthier. They need healthier ingredients. The food corporates are desperately seeking for healthier ingredients. So when you look also at what happened with the food that we have, why we are getting sick, we are having these chronic diseases like diabetes, cancer that are related with diets and poor food. Um, you find a common point there that is the gut microbiome. If you explore, if we had known more about the gut microbiome when maybe 100 years ago, when the industrialization of food started, then things would be different, because that's the missing concept in food. Uh, the food developers and the food industry has not yet realized the importance of the gut microbiome. If you think about all the things that the processed food has, additives and things like that, they are first uh, causing a damage to the gut microbiome and then to the body. So it's like a microbiome you can sense. If you know more about the gut microbiome, you can sense how bad or how good your food is. And that's a powerful knowledge, something that we have to explore more and more, and understand how the gut microbiome will respond to the new food we are creating. That was a problem. And one of the things that the processed food doesn't have is, for example, fiber. In the industrialization, the process requires that you get part of the fiber because it's difficult to handle, and consumers are not get used to fiber. So you have to get this out of food. But that's the food for the gut microbiome.
Of course.
And you know that's one of the components of food that we are lacking. And the thing is that when you're thinking about food and you think, okay, this is a mixture of different nutrients, mineral, vitamins, protein, and you think, okay, we need that nutrient density, but it's okay what we're doing, adding vitamins and more protein. But when you think about the function to make it healthier, you need function. And fiber is maybe one of the unique components of diet that gives you all. It's all about functionalities and different functionalities, not only digestive. It has to do also with your mood, with immunity, with energy. There is a lot of function in fiber, and we have to understand how to get those benefits put those benefits back into processed food. So
Yeah.
there's
Well, you
the microbiome need for the food industry.
and tell me a little bit more about how would you see this fitting into ultra processed foods? Because one thing is that is real is that consumer education is still like a very challenging topic, and also it's like within God for You and Singular Foods, what we want to do is not only go for the aware consumer that is looking for healthy products, but even getting to the consumer that is completely unaware of what they're eating and still having like better benefits or less detrimental foods in their diet. So how do you feel, or how do you how what's your perspective on adding these kind of technologies into ultra processed foods?
Well, regarding communication to consumer, that is something that the industry is very concerned about. It's difficult. Well, I've talked about function. So function is difficult to communicate because we are not associated those functions I mentioned. So immunity with fiber, there's a lot of people that is not making that connection. So we have to work there, making those connections, telling people, yes, this is what science says, but not today's science. The connection was validated with science many years ago, but people don't know that, don't realize that. And the thing is that all about microbiome is not in your curricula as a person who is at university. It's not really something that you learn in the at university. I was also teaching there in the university and trying to introduce those concepts on microbiome, but it's something that is not managed by university. So who are the actors there communicating? You have and it's not the FDA or the World Health Organization. They are always some steps behind innovation. So not the universities, they are doing research more than educating on that field. So who is taking the work to educate? Then you have professional institutions, or for example the ISAP institutions, with scientists and people from the industry, or the World Prebiotic Association, the Global Prebiotic Association. So associations between people in science and in industry, trying to guide the consumers' education, and also the education of nutritionists and people recommending food and beverage and dietary habits. So I think that if we cannot wait for the scientists to communicate better, we cannot wait for the regulatory agencies to give the guidelines. What is happening is that consumers need information. There's a lot of information and misinformation on social media, and that's confusing. So I think that these days, after pandemics, and what we've seen with public institutions in pandemics, and now that social media is uh, has more power than ever, then I think that will be necessary to nourish is a community of scientists wanting to communicate, and people in the industry wanting to be transparent. So that combination with a good network and community, I think that will be the way to educate better.
Okay, but further from like direct consumer education, what can we do from the food industry specifically, like within the ultra processed foods, like within the formulations? What can we do with them in order to create less detrimental effects in the gut microbiome, even if the consumer is not aware of it? What do you think we can do in that space?
I think that the industry is really responding to that. Of course, there's a regulatory pressure. not exactly on microbiome, but on less sugar, better fats, more protein. That is something that the food industry is responding. And now we have this trend with the GLP-1 users that want healthier food, they demand healthier food. So I think that the food industry is working in that way. But of course, there is still that education. Um, I think that the industry needs to be more educated on microbiome, because there's a lot of things that are evolving, so not yet clear. But the thing is that there are a lot of products in the market. Let's say postbiotics. That's a clear example. It's something that is like not a living organism like a probiotic, but it's something that has benefits, although the microorganisms are there. So it's a concept that is difficult to explain directly to consumers. But the products are in the market, and they are good. So I think that the industry still needs to understand better, and the scientists regarding microbiome, and the scientists made to be have more consensus in a lot of things to really communicate better science. They need to have a consensus on what they are building and exploring, and the knowledge they are creating.
Yeah, for sure. And like based on what you're telling me as well in what Future Biome is innovating in, um, I mean, innovation within this space is very challenging, especially uh, from the perspective that you have mentioned, the microbiome research and scaling it into biotech products. Could you tell us more how Future Biome has experienced this?
Yeah, so that's about innovation and startups, how we deal with the biotech problems and things to solve. Well, when you think in a startup doing biotech startup and food tech startup in both verticals, what you have and one like Future Biome that is both in microbiome research and in biotech. So we are doing microbiome research to validate the health claims of our products. We are in biotech vertical because the process and the technology is very similar.
Mm, I think we lost Soledad for a couple of minutes. So I'm gonna continue up the conversation just in case in the meantime that we wait for Soledad. But in a couple of weeks ago, we started a conversation, Soledad and myself, on the challenges that startups face within the biotech space to raise money because of the late return of investments that we're expecting from the products that are being built. So other startups are having troubles connecting with investors because investors are expecting a quick return of investment, as well as traction with their consumers. So they have this um, problem in which, on one side, they need money to scale their production, and on the other side, they are having these letters of intent with their consumers, which are expecting some samples of their own products so that they can apply them and make like product development with those ingredients. So the problem here is that basically the startup cannot make doesn't have that money to make the product and send it over to its customers for them to make prototyping with that product. So this is a very hard space for startups to innovate in and to raise money in. So I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes for Soledad so that she can tell us more about
Hi.
it. Ah, perfect. Soledad, I had to
Great.
speak a little bit on your behalf, and I'm sorry, but I
Great.
touch on a little bit of what we were gonna discuss further. So, could you please
Yes,
continue
it
with what
was
you were
in
saying?
with the biotech the biotech startups. So the thing is that we had our first investment, and we had to do two things: the proof of concept of our product, so validate the health claims. And if you are working seriously, you have to run clinical trials to do that, and they are costly. And then the second thing that you have to do is to scale the process, the manufacturing process. And you need a facility, you need bioreactors. And what I sometimes say is like, you cannot do deep tech in your kitchen. It's like you really need investment for that. So we started with a proof of concept, with a clinical trial. And then what we reached the lab scale for the production. That is the first scale to produce a small amount of that ingredient, just the ones the amount that we needed for the clinical trial. And then when we started the fundraising for the second part of the development, that was the scale of the manufacturing process. And in this at the same time that we started with the fundraising early this year, we began having requests of samples from customers, some from customer leads. And it was at the pre-seed, you are at that stage that you have to show traction to your investors. But for showing traction, because you have requests from customers, you need the investment to produce the ingredient. So it's like a circle, and it's very difficult to navigate, because it's like you need something for some people, and but that people have to collaborate. Then you can give it's like a circle, and a really challenging and difficult to navigate, because it's a process that takes several months, and you have only one you have your investment and no additional sources, because you are not selling yet. And it's very very challenging for founders.
So from like, because of this challenge, and because like you are in a space where, especially in clinically validated ingredients, many investors can step away from putting their money in because of the long timelines and costs
Mhm.
involved. From a founder's perspective, I mean, it's not only innovation that is important, but also investors who truly understand all of these struggles, and that a biotech company has to go, especially within the early stages of a company. So, from a founder's perspective, what are you looking for in investors, or what would be like the best connections that you could probably have right now in order to continue with Futures Biome's goals?
Well, what I think it's key to have as early as possible is the investor that really understands first the problem, and maybe has can feel the problem. So really can give value to your solutions, because really understand the problem. And that's what we are looking for. So investors that understand that, and then also understand that for a biotech startup, you will not have the returns in less than 2 years. I mean, these are highly risky investments that take a lot of time to the startup to be profitable and evolve and generate sales. So it's like a very special kind of investors that understand that risk, and are willing to collaborate and be part of it. And the third thing is that uh, investors that not only invest or support with money, but that can also open doors with
Of
contacts,
course.
or what I've seen from other founders and other startups. an investor that maybe can facilitate the access to a place where you can produce at higher scale, or opens the door to facilities or to contacts, or really understand the market you are in, and can help you go faster. And it's not only about the investment itself, but which other things that the investors can also help you with and support.
Of course. Yeah, I agree 100% with you. It's not, sometimes we're looking for the investors that will give you the highest amount of money, but sometimes that same return of investment is expected in a short period of time, which is
Mm.
um, very difficult for founders, and especially like within a very high moving VC world. It's not easy to find that perfect investor, but I'm sure that at some point you will. Soledad, as a closing question, what would be your words to a new founder in this space?
A new founder, first time founder in biotech. Well, I would say that regarding investors, try to find that investor as early as you can. You will also have other investors that only want to invest and don't want, or maybe are not available to offer more than investment. But having that investor that really understands what you're doing, and not only trust and believes in your solution, but also understands the problem. That's something key. And other thing that is key is the how you build your company in terms of who is in the company. That's something that, because when I started the company, I just was thinking on the technical hurdles and things like that, technical. But this is not only about the technical problems or how you will sell the product. Is who is working with you, who is building the company with you. That is, so two things. Maybe one is the who, the investor, the co-founder, and of course then you will find partners and collaborators. Um, but these two things you have to think first. The people that is together with you building the company.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Soledad, for all of your ideas, for sharing more about Future Biome and all of the struggles that you have been going through. I know it's a very hard space, but essential to scale food as medicine. So please, anyone that is seeing this first episode, reach out with any suggestions, questions, or even if you want to reach out to Soledad for any potential ideas or collaborations, you can find us in LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.